When I was pregnant, I bought so many things that everyone said I needed, and honestly, I didn't use half of them. I feel like when you're expecting, you're completely overwhelmed, obviously, with your first baby. You have recommendations on TikToks, YouTube videos, registry lists, and suddenly it just feels like you need 50 different products just to survive those first few months of having that first baby. But now that I am on the other side of that first year, I can confidently say you actually need way less than you think. So in this video, I want to walk you through the exact products that I actually used every single day with my baby from 0 to 12 months. No fluff, no overhyped influencer recommendations, just what made my life easier day to day. And just for a little bit of context, I am a stay-at-home mom, so I'm with my baby all day, every day. These aren't the things that I used occasionally or just kind of liked in theory. These are things that I genuinely relied on every single day throughout that first year. If something is in this video, it's because it's earned its place. So starting with diapers, because I feel like this is one of those categories where influencers really overcomplicate things. You'll hear people say you need the absolute best, the most expensive, ultra premium diapers, and it can make you feel like anything else really isn't good enough. But in reality, it just comes down to finding something that works for your baby and your budget. Personally, I use Pampers Pure, and for me, they've been the best balance between being more non-toxic while still being super affordable. That was really important to me. I didn't want something full of harsh ingredients, obviously, but I also didn't want to be spending an insane amount of money every single month on diapers. There are brands like Coterie that a lot of influencers and people swear by, like, you have to get this subscription, and I'm sure that they're great, but they're definitely on the more expensive side. So my biggest advice here would just be to do your own research, figure out what matters most to you, and choose something that fits your lifestyle and your budget. You really don't need the most expensive option for it to be good. Next is bath and skincare, and this is something I didn't think would matter as much, but it ended up mattering a lot. For soap, I've kept it super simple. I use Dr. Bronner's unscented Castile soap because I wanted something as clean and gentle as possible, especially in those early months when their skin is so sensitive. But where things got a little bit more specific for me was for lotion. After a few months, I started noticing that my baby would get these random kind of red rough patches on her skin. Nothing that serious, maybe like slight eczema, but not exactly sure, but enough where I knew I needed something that actually worked rather than just like the plain lotion I was using. I tried a few different products, and what ended up working really well for us was the rose serum and lotion combo. And I'll be honest, it is really expensive, but it works so well that I have continued using it. Anytime that she has a red rough patch, I will use that and it'll clear up in 1 to 2 days. So for me, it was worth having something that I knew would fix the problem really quick. That being said, if your baby doesn't have sensitive skin or doesn't deal with dryness like that, I would absolutely recommend something a little bit more affordable like Pipette. It still has really clean ingredients, but it's way more budget friendly for everyday use. So I kind of think of it as Roe being more of like a spot treatment, and then I use Pipette as like a daily lotion for her, and that combination has worked really well for us to kind of save money, but also make sure that I'm taking care of her. One of the biggest lifesavers for me, especially in the early days, was a Sling wrap. I genuinely don't know what I would have done without one of those in the first few months. My baby was an exclusive contact napper for a very long time, which basically meant if she wasn't being held, she wasn't sleeping. And while those moments are really special, it also meant that I couldn't do anything else. So instead of just sitting there holding her all day with my arms dying, I would wrap her up in the sling, bounce her around a little bit, and then she would just fall asleep there. And then I could actually move around. I could get things done. I could grab something to eat, tidy up a little bit, just kind of have my hands free again. It also made going out so much easier. There were so many times where it was just simpler to have her in the wrap instead of dealing with a stroller. I use this every single day for at least the first 6 months. I'm not even kidding you. And honestly, even beyond that, occasionally, it was just one of those things that just made daily life so much more manageable. Another thing that ended up being way more important than I expected was a sound machine. In the first 4-ish months, my baby could sleep anywhere. Noise, lights, people talking, it didn't matter. She would just fall asleep, and I thought we were so lucky. But then around 4 months old, everything changed. She became so much more aware of her surroundings, and I've read that this is pretty normal around the 4-month mark, so every little noise would wake her up. She'd get distracted easily. Her nap started becoming a lot harder. That's when we really started to get intentional about her sleeping environment. We introduced the sound machine, and we started using it consistently for every single nap. At the same time, we we added blackout curtains and really focused on building a consistent nap routine with her actually in the crib without being on me, because she wasn't napping when she was on me anymore. And I truly believe that that combination made such a huge difference. Having that consistent sound, darker room, and just kind of repeating the same routine helped her settle so much easier. And over time, it helped connect her sleep cycles better. And I genuinely think that was a huge part of why she started sleeping through the night around 8 months. We are so lucky because we built that routine during the day first, and then we stuck to it. So I cannot recommend a sound machine enough. It might not feel essential in the beginning, maybe like the first month or two, but once your baby becomes more aware, it becomes a total game changer for both day and night sleep. And then the last thing, which is definitely more of an investment, but something I use every single day, well, still use every single day, is my stroller. I have the Cybex Gazelle, and I'll be honest, this is not something I would normally have bought. I typically wouldn't recommend going for a stroller this expensive, and I'm honestly surprised that I ended up choosing it myself, but it is so sturdy. And if you're planning on having multiple kids, it is the absolute top option in my opinion. That's why we went for it, because originally I thought I wanted 2 under 2, pretty close together, which is why we chose this stroller. It allows you to have 2 little ones, but the way that the seats are configured, it still fits easily through a doorway, and then you can take your babies out in public. That's a huge difference compared to the standard double strollers that are 2 seats side by side, and you just can't fit through anything. You're just so wide and bulky. So this one is much more practical for daily life, in my opinion, for having 2 kids. Now, even though I don't necessarily want 2 under 2 anymore, I still think it's an amazing option even if you only have 1 baby, because it's incredibly sturdy, it feels very high quality, and it comes with so many attachments, including the ability to use it with a car seat, which makes things really versatile from the start, and the bassinet, which was a game changer the first 6 months. I will say though, I want to be totally transparent. My one complaint with this stroller is that it's not the easiest to fold and unfold. It definitely is a 2-hand job. It's not as quick or seamless as some other strollers on the market that I have seen. So that's something to keep in mind depending on your lifestyle. If you're planning on having 2 little ones relatively close together, I think this stroller is the clear winner. If you're only planning on having 1, I still think it's a great option, but I would definitely do some more research just to make sure that this is the right fit for you. Your stroller and your car seat are 2 areas where you really don't want to go cheap. Even coming from like a budget person, they are investments. You use them every single day, and they're responsible for keeping your baby safe. So those are the products that I actually use every single day during my baby's first year, and hopefully this gives you a clearer picture of what you actually need without all the extra noise and pressure to buy everything else, because honestly, you don't need that much. I didn't even have a changing table, and I was completely fine. I would have never used it. So just think about all these things that people tell you absolutely have to have. You have to do your nursery, you have to do this, and it's just so much stress. You don't have to do it. You really only need a few things that actually work for you and your baby. I've linked everything that I've mentioned in the description just because I know when I was researching, I really wanted someone to just tell me what they actually use day to day without trying to sell me all this stuff. So hopefully this makes your process a little bit easier for you. And if you're in that stage right now, just know that you're doing great and you really don't need as much as you think you do.